Hi everybody, this is the video for Unit 4. And what we're doing in this unit is moving towards some of the more practical aspects of your future careers and next steps after graduation. And that is starting to put together some of the key documents that you'll be using. And that will be documents whether you're planning to start applying to jobs right away, thinking about going to graduate school. So up to now, what we've really been looking at is sort of the big picture, right, and the end goals of this path that you're in the process of formulating. So thinking about sort of who you are, what you're interested in, what kind of skills and strengths you have, how you can bring together various experiences and things you've done over time, and what they've told you about what you might want to do in the long term, and then what some of those ultimate career goal positions look like. You've spent some time actually looking for job postings that are, again, a sort of a goal or an aspiration, something you can work toward down the line. So we're going to sort of, bring the conversation back to the more immediate time frame, because whichever steps you're taking next, you do need a polished version of, for many of you, it'll be both a resume and a statement of purpose. So I'm asking you in this unit, Unit 4, to start working on those documents and the process of really figuring out how best to present yourself. You'll probably notice if you've looked at the syllabus that I'm giving you an option in terms of the final assignment that you turn in. You can either turn in a resume and a cover letter, or you can turn in a statement of purpose that would be part of an application to graduate school. You're welcome to turn in both if you would like feedback on both of those kinds of documents, but I'm asking you to do one. In this unit, starting in Unit 4, we'll be really looking at resumes, primarily resumes and cover letters, and in the next unit, Unit 5, we'll talk more about the things to think about if you're considering going to graduate school, how to make decisions about that, and then also the statement of purpose that accompanies that. So let me just show you really quickly how the assignment around, or the three assignments around the resume and statement are sort of organized in the syllabus. So let's start by going to the syllabus, and I'll show you where those are, and then I'll also show you the handout you'll be working on in Unit 4. Okay, so let's start with the syllabus here. So in Unit 4, you'll be reading several things that are sort of information and advice or suggestions about how best to present yourself in a professional context, particularly through the creation of a resume or CV. When you read the Purdue OWL Guide, which is one of the readings that I've assigned you, you'll read a little bit more about the difference between a resume and a CV. For most of you, what you'll be producing is a resume. That's the more typical, standard sort of job application document. A CV is basically the version of a resume that's typically used in an academic context. So somebody like me, right, given my particular career as a professor, the document I have is a CV, right? It's a little bit longer, and it highlights some different kinds of things than a resume. I don't think many of you need that, but you can do a CV, but I think most of you, it'll be a resume. So you'll be reading about these kinds of documents in the Sun reading, the Purdue OWL Guide, and then I also have something from the Harvard Extension School. So again, those will give you some information, some background. Many of you, I'm sure, have already created a resume, so this will be either a refresher and or an opportunity to polish up and update your resume. The resume and statement assignment for the course comes in 3 parts, and you'll be doing the first part in Unit 4, and that is to complete and submit a resume worksheet. When you go to the assignments area, you'll see that worksheet. I can show it to you now. I'll show it to you in a second. So in terms of the sort of broader timeline of this assignment, we're going to do Part 1 in Unit 4, and then you'll be doing Part 2 down here in Unit 6. That's after we've talked about graduate school, and that'll be the first draft of your chosen document. And then Part 3 will be the final version, which will be down in Unit 7. Okay, so we're going to sort of work on this over time. These are really crucial items that you're going to be using in multiple settings moving forward, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on it. So, but for now, we're in Unit 4, and you're going to be doing Part 1, which is to complete this resume worksheet. So let me show you what that looks like. If you go to Assignments, and here we are in the resume and statements, parts 1, 2, and 3. I've made one folder, so you'll be putting all the components of this 3-part assignment into this same folder. The first thing you'll be doing is this. So you're welcome to reformat this as you would like to. Hold on, let me just make this a little bit more legible. Okay. So all I'm asking you to do really here is to compile the specifics of things you might include in your resume and or in a statement of purpose if you're considering that. One side of this sheet is about job experiences, basically. I call them jobs, volunteer work, and extracurriculars. So not only paying jobs, but any kind of club work you've done, volunteer work, internships, etc. And thinking about both the specifics of, what was the position, what was it called, what did you actually do, but also what kinds of skills derive from that, right? If you're going to make an argument about how a particular job contributes to who you are and what you're in a position to do next, you're going to want to think about, again, how to connect that particular experience to some of the bigger issues that we've talked about already. So one side is about jobs, etc., and then the other side of the form is about sort of your educational experiences. So both, again, remember we've talked about sort of disaggregating the different parts of your educational career. So you're going to talk certainly about or list your degrees, right? But also any activities or products or accomplishments, right? If you, wrote a thesis or were involved in a debate team or presented your work at a conference or any of the other kinds of things, had one of your, some of your work published somewhere. Any of those kinds of things would also be here. And again, same idea, how does that set of accomplishments poise you for, you're presenting yourself for your next act, so to speak. So, so this is step 1 of this sort of exercise. And again, as I already showed you, in a couple weeks, you'll be drafting the sort of first version of that resume or statement of purpose. And then later in the semester, you'll be working on the final draft. And of course, I'll be giving you feedback to help you with polishing that. So, again, in some ways, what we're working on in this unit is sort of just the, sort of technicalities or practicalities of putting together a document. But to do it well, it's also really an exercise in figuring out how to showcase yourself. And that means bringing to bear all the things we've talked about so far, who you are, what your strengths are, what your skills are, what your particular angle is on things, right? So I think it's important to think of a resume as not just a sort of a bland recitation of stuff you've done, right? But really something where you can use it to underline all the really exciting things about you as a potential job candidate, as a potential applicant for a graduate program, etc. Okay, so I'm hoping we can bring together what we've been talking about and doing so far in the course with then some of the more formal aspects of, the format that a resume takes, right? So there are some limitations. And some things that we want to sort of follow the protocol, right? A resume usually is only about a page. CVs are a little bit longer, but again, for most of you, it's probably going to be a resume. So figuring out how to work effectively within that very truncated space and present yourself in a way that will catch somebody's eye and that will, again, highlight what is great about you is a fairly complex sort of activity. And one, again, we spend several weeks on coming up. So, so that's our plan for Unit 4, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with and continuing to work on these documents over time. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.